When I created this channel, one of the main reasons for doing so was in response to an increasingly malignant feminist appropriation of the term rape culture, and in particular to the social media lynch mobbing of various individual men and then doxing them as rapists. The society we are rapidly becoming is one where we rank as superior the emotionally driven opinions of uninformed, or dare I say misinformed, women over that of the judicial system. This is precisely what was predicted from feminist epistemology originating in the 70s, where their lateral approach to ethics resulted in the so-called social science and the concept of situated knower, which they believed to be superior to that of the vertical thinking of the male mind, where logic and justice are seen as objective truths. So while the male psyche is one of abstract isolationism, the female psyche was one of emotional inclusivity. While this is an interesting topic to go deeper into, understanding feminist epistemology is too large to cover here, so I urge you to watch the excellent in-depth series of videos by Groundwork for the Metaphysics of MGTOW. A link is in the description. Despite feminist theory to the contrary, rape is something that neither has been nor should ever be normalized. As such, the feminist theory of rape culture does not exist, except as a mechanism to further a feminist agenda, which in turn reduces rape to a petty gender policy. Despite modern feminists using the word rape as a buzzword, it still remains an understandably difficult and emotionally explosive topic. This is why I've waited until now to cover it on this channel. With this in mind, I want to be absolutely clear. I do not condone any rape, and I believe it is correctly reviled by men and women alike. To treat this topic as it deserves, I have decided to cover it in 3 parts across 3 videos. This, the first, will be an introduction to the series. The second will focus on my own personal experiences concerning rape. And finally, the last video will cover how rape is perceived by the online community, in particular focusing on the recent Brock case in the US. Before going any further, I would like to take this opportunity to make a quick aside to deal with how language can be, and is, used to manipulate people's emotions, in order to mobilize them for a cause. We're all aware of how charismatic leaders have used the power of words to mobilize people to action, from Adolf Hitler to Martin Luther King Jr. So much so that this has now become a marketing art deployed by politicians, businesses, salespeople, etc. With the rise of social media on the internet, as I previously covered in the video, this use of language is all pervasive. By now you may be wondering how this is relevant to this discussion on rape. Confessions first. Being a young adult in the 70s, I was an active feminist. Now, before you stop listening, the form of feminism I agreed with was nothing like that of feminism today, where I now see myself as a more soft egalitarian MGTOW. If you're interested in that feminist worldview, then check out the excellent videos by the factual feminist, Christina Hoff Sommers, and the talks by Camille Paglia. Links to these, as always, can be found in the description. Hopefully you can see just how poisoned feminism has now become, and if you're interested in knowing more about the conversion of feminism from an equality project to current ideology, these 2 genuine feminists can be seen discussing this in full or in bite-sized chunks. But, back to the present concept of rape culture. Some 30 years ago, risk of rape was a more serious threat to women than it is now. Check out Christina Hoff Sommers discussing the 1 in 4 often quoted rape statistic that is globally yet inaccurately repeated. You know where to find the link. And was a rightly key focus of the then feminist movement. Like many other feminists, I marched on Reclaim the Night protests, as well as other activities, and it was here where I experienced the genesis of what is now referred to as third wave, or intersectional feminism, and the concept of rape culture, which was actually coined in a 1975 documentary film called Rape Culture, which dealt with the acceptance of men-on-men rape in prisons. This form of rape culture still exists today and is not only ignored by the current feminist movement, it has become normalised throughout society and is even used as a source of humour or threat on TV and film. It was this burgeoning cancer within the feminist movement that appropriated, good SJW word there, this prison culture of acceptance of rape and used it as the basis of the third wave of feminism to become a founding pillar that blights society today. I'll go into this in more detail later, but for now I want to return to the manipulation of words. For the benefit of millennials, perpetrators of rape were linguistically correctly referred to as rapers, as they were the ones raping, much as builders build, runners run, swimmers swim, etc. This was the term we all used and which also correctly implied that rape was an unacceptable act perpetrated on a victim by an aggressor. It was not a reference to some club of accepted behaviour whose members were fulfilling their club norms. It was a violent act of one person or persons on another. Yet despite this being the accepted word understood by all, it was felt by this new breed of feminists to not sound nasty enough, so they sought an alternative, more emotionally evocative word and invisibly introduced it to replace the softer sounding raper. And this is the word we all use today, rapist. Although this is lexicographically incorrect, as ist on the end of a word denotes someone involved in a subject or particular idealism, such as a chemist studies and develops chemistry, a feminist politically advocates feminism, etc. It is nonetheless much more effective at evoking fear and vitriol with its harsh, sibilant, hissing quality. As such, it rapidly became the word we use today to describe the abhorrence we all instinctively feel to this act of violence. Yet another topic of discussion in a subsequent video. But also it makes it harder to discuss this topic rationally and from a non-emotional position. So, regarding the nature of rape, I have just now described it as an act of violence. In recent years, which I shall cover in the final video of the series, rape has come to mean instead a question of consent, privilege, domination, etc. Not only does this trivialise what rape is, it also creates and fosters an actual culture of rape in which women unrealistically fear for their safety, becoming victims and thus ripe for cult indoctrination, resulting in the so-called patriarchy and hostile masculinity being blamed for creating said fear. This affords the crime more of a special status and separates the data concerning rape violence from the information on violence in general, which affects men a great deal more than it does women, and enables the topic of rape to be positioned as an act of aggression against women, as defined by women epistemology. I'll cover this in more detail in my final video, but for now, I wish to take this topic onto a personal level where, in the next video, I'll talk about my own experiences of being raped by a woman, and myself being accused of rape. Rape is not a system of male aggression, nor of patriarchy, nor of feminist ethics of care, but is a gender-blind act rooted in biology and evolution, and not through cultural and societal misogyny. I hope you'll accompany me on this controversial and personal, painful journey. Please be sure to subscribe so as not to miss the next video, and if you like this video, please show your approval with a thumbs up. If you are feeling particularly generous, I also have a Patreon account, again as linked in the description, with all references to the other content. Till next time, keep that brain working.